Well, I'm not playing base game. I'm playing a mod that I built, me and my team. I have beaten the game hundreds of times, and we're building a comprehensive overhaul of the game, and we're testing the overhaul stuff. What? Don't know what to do. I have no fucking idea how to deal with that. Let's do it. We'll go for that. Dude, what's up with the unibrow on this guy? I mean, I feel like this guy looks like a total idiot. I don't think I'm making that up either. Kind of like it. All right, so let's... what is the play here? Weeping? Okay, let's go this way. I mean, part of me thinks that maybe I should go Morn Tunnel. Like, Morn Tunnel will definitely give me more runes. We're going to do Axe of Rust, because Axe of Rust is now finished. So I need to do playthrough and see how disgustingly OP it is. I think this room is weird. Like, was there ever an item in this room? I don't think so. It's just a fucking useless room. Let's see how Castle Morn feels at +3. No, this axe? Yeah, this isn't the new weapon though. This is a long haft axe. But yeah, I'm going for a different. I'm going for Axe of Rust to start with. This is the fastest way. You want so there's a new shortcut in the Castle Morn boss that will take you to subterranean shunning grounds. Okay, so I think there's a somber around that corner right there. All right, we'll see how this feels. I don't know how it's gonna go. I know I can like stagger him and shit, which is good. Okay, well not if he's in the middle of a move. God damn it, bro. Alright, not bad. +3 is totally fine here. So we're in Subterranean now. This next guy, I'm not exactly sure. Like, I know oh, I don't have to mess with him. I can just drop, right? Yeah. This is Imp Central, and, like, I'm not sure the best way to route through this. I know I need to get up there and to the right, so maybe something like this. Wow, he doesn't give a fuck. Yeah. How fast do I think speedruns will be? I mean, it depends. Like, if they're doing any %, they'll be pretty fucking fast. I mean, the thing is, I assume that they will just be faster than a typical speedrun, and that's because the game, like, the mod provides you with, essentially with skips. Just by default, right? Because you have, like, all these portals and shit. Alright, so let's go back to Saints Bridge. Okay, I'm actually curious about something. Like, if I was to go straight down the river, it's definitely more direct, but I don't know how well it works. Let me try this. Oh, I can just go... Yeah, that's actually really good. Going straight down the river is definitely the right way because there's the second Spirit Spring here. And then I can just grab that. But that's a great... That's not a large... I'm trying to remember if we even... Like, if there's any, like, larges in Limgrave, really. Well, either way, I have to figure out, like, which armor I'm going for. And I think I want some armor that's, like, relatively tanky. Like, the Cadence set is good for any melee. Like, literally any melee. So I'm considering that. Elden Lord is, like, good for my class, but doesn't have much armor. Yeah, I think I'm just going to run and grab Cadence set just because it's, like, it's fine. It's a fine thing to do. And I'm going to get the Warrior Jar Shard as well. One reason getting this armor is convenient is that you get all those freaking sombers, right? The weapon is somber because it's unique. New weapons? Missed the jump. Alright, I could die here. But it doesn't matter as long as I got the armor. So this armor is good for any melee class, because reduces weapon stamina costs and increases weapon damage, right? Like, it doesn't care stats. So it's like kind of, it's kind of special in that way. Unfortunately, I lost some strength. So yeah, I need an heirloom remnant now, but that's fine. We'll go South Liurnia. Let me think, is there any benefit to getting a different heirloom? Nope. The visual glitch. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I don't think we fixed all of them yet, but it's like, we will. Basically, like, every time a weapon is loaded in multiplayer, it uses the low poly version of it. So basically, you just need, like in the folder that has all the weapon models, you have to, like, make a second one. And the second one has, like, an L and an underscore in front of it. And if it has that, then it'll load, the textures and shit will load for multiplayer. All right, so I think, like, the play here is, like, Margit is fine, Bowls is fine. I actually think Rhea Lucaria might be better to do. We'll do Rhea Lucaria. Yeah. I went for the weapon art. The weapon art's very slow, but that's like kind of its whole point. I was curious if that was a big enough opening to do it. I think I need to send a message to Ace here. So the thing is, like, we're tweaking the moveset still, and the charged R2s are the ones that are basically from, like, Warcry. Like, these charged R2s are fucking useless, in my opinion, because, like, you have this weapon art, which is, like, the whole purpose of the weapon. It's kind of what makes it good. But if you have this weapon art, that's, like, the same speed as this charged R2. So essentially, it makes the charged R2 useless. The charged R2, like, there's no reason to ever use it. You would just use the weapon art in that case. So I just told him the charged R2s need to probably go back to default. I'm not actually sure if Rhea Lucaria is better. Either way, I got physics, so. Who will write the fancy detailed descriptions? Me, I write all the lore. Jump too late, I guess. Yeah, that's what I get. How fast the R1 seems one-handed. It might be not good, though. Like, that's the thing, is, like, it's a great axe, so if it's too fast, then, like, I don't know. Like, is that a great axe moveset, or is that too fast? Like, we might have to slow that down. Depends. Imagine him not dying. Yeah, okay, so the rolling attack. Weapon's still not really done. Like, we got the wrong sound effect on the rolling attack of the one-handed R1. We'll be able to min-max to match different armor pieces, or will we be able to mix and match different armor pieces to min-max the stats we want? Are we going full fashion souls? Yeah, you can totally, like, there's a lot of optimal pieces for, like, strength builds, for example. I just went for the one that's, like, kind of as good as the rest, but, like, is kind of easiest to get, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, there's, like, several, you can have, like, lots of sets to sort of choose from for each individual build. And if, you know, if you're going sort of a hybrid build, then, like, you'll have, you know, lots of mix and match options. So there's lots of ways you can go an FP recovery build, and the FP recovery build I find to be really strong in general. So it's something that, like, an FP recovery build wasn't really something you could do in the first mod, and the reason why was that you had so much inherent FP recovery in the first mod that there was no, like, yeah, you could get buffs to it, but they didn't matter that much because your default FP was, like, your default FP regen was so fucking strong that it was kind of just, like, redundant to do that. Whereas in this, you get 1 FP back per second, which doesn't sound like very much, but actually is quite a bit. Like, it's not, but obviously it's not as, like, my total FP here is like a 75, right? So 1 per second is really not that slow. So if you get something that increases your FP recovery by an additional 1 per second, then it's, like, fucking insane. It's, like, so good. And so, like, and then there's other things, like, there's powerful, like, buffs, like buff spells, or, you know, other stuff that'll give you more recovery. So, like, yeah, it's definitely viable. Like, there's some caster builds that at their top end, their, like, entire, like, emphasis is FP recovery, which is good. incantation melee hybrid. So yeah, so the way we built it is like my realization from the last mod was that one thing we kind of made in the last mod was support for like you start as a spellcaster class and then you're gonna go like that spell, those spells plus a weapon hybrid. But one thing we really didn't offer support for was, let's say you're starting as sort of a spell-based class, like you know you're doing like blood magic or something, but your playthrough you end up not really using the spells that much, or you just end up using them for buffs, but all your damage is melee, right? That's something we didn't actually offer that much support for, really, right? So in this one, we're being more cautious. Like I'm adding more sort of individual branches of each build, right? So like you start Bloodflame, there's an armor set for you out there that's you're going Bloodflame, but you're doing all of your damage with a weapon, right? You're not really trying to do damage with spells. Like there's a specific armor for that. Then there's an armor for someone who's trying to do both spells and weapons, and then there's an armor for someone who's just trying to do spells. So I'm being more conscientious about various build ideas for more creativity, and partly that was because there's so much armor in this game. Like there's just tons and tons of armor, so like giving all of it like a unique identity is like feels like the right thing to do. I mean, there's some of the classes we made are basically like new concepts. The game didn't really have those before, so for those the armor's lacking, right? And we'll have to make some new armor to support those better. So I need to, let me see if I have, oh yeah, we should have enough actually. Yeah, there's tons and tons of those, dude. You know, there's like over 300 new spells, so there's everything you can imagine for spells. Another large, somber. Yeah, I forgot about that new scarab. Incantation's that type of spell? Yeah, I mean, like, we're actually using Slicer's animation for, like, one of the Godskin spells. Besides, they already kind of had it with Catch Flame, right? Oh yeah, we got a Remnant, right? Yeah, so it's part of the weapon art, right? Like, when you do the weapon art, you can actually see when the poise starts, like, right there. I think we should make the weapon art cost more FP. Basically costs nothing right now. There are no tomes or prayer books anymore. There's now spell runes. And the spell runes, you crack them like a rune art, and they give you, they just give you the spells. They just auto-loot the spells. But yeah, I mean, they're all placed in, like, very specific places, all the spell runes, that sort of form, like, the progression for each spell class. Dude, reinforcing this thing is expensive, bro. I'm not sure the weapon art's going to be great against Phase 1 Renala. I'm not sure about that. But I can see it being pretty good against Phase 2.
Little Rani, my dear daughter.
Probably been asked this before. What leads you toward class-specific spells, quest lines? Okay, so right now, I can't really build quest lines. My plan is to build quest lines, lots and lots of them, but we can't do sound insertion right now. I can't make NPCs with new voice lines yet to support the quests. So what I'm gonna do for alpha is I'm just gonna place an item that's just like a note at the starting locations for all the classes, and you'll read the note and it'll just sort of give you like an overview of the spots that you kind of want to go to, if that makes sense. Like it'll give you like, it'll be like, okay, here's all your like your locations, right? I know it's a little bit sort of ham-fisted to just like give a list of places to go, but it's the best solution that I have for now before I can build the quest lines into something more robust and more interesting. I'm not like too happy about it, but if I did something else at this phase, then it would delay the alpha release for that much longer for me to build all that shit. I mean, the other way I could do it is I could have breadcrumb notes where it's like the first note tells you where your first stuff is, the second note tells you where your second stuff is, but like that's a little weird because like imagine that like you're starting a character who's doing like frost sorcery and then you go go and do your first frost sorcery thing, and then you just like do some random dungeon just because, and then in it tells you where the 4th blood flame tome is, right? Then it's just like you didn't like have that common thread, you know? So like another thing I could do is I could build it with flags, where basically like messages on the ground, yeah, or like in chests, or like on you know, on monsters, like enemies. The other thing I could do is I can make it flag based, where like if you've picked up the first one, then the second one is there, and if you picked up the second one, then the third one is there, and so on, right? I could do it, I could hide them behind flags, so you kind of have to like, in order to find, but the thing is like, even if you don't pick up the notes, like if the notes aren't there, then you could still get the items, right? You could still get the runes. So I don't know, I mean, I'm trying to think of something I can do before I can insert voice lines. I'm kind of curious what you guys think is like the best solution, because it's just temporary anyway, right? It's just for alpha. It's not like gonna be permanent either way. Just one note with the list on it. The breadcrumb approach sounds more fun. It does sound more fun, I agree with that, and it will be that. I mean, in terms of like, because essentially that's what a quest is. Like a quest is literally just breadcrumb, right? Scavenger hunt. In essence, all quests are that, and it will be that. But I'm saying just for alpha, like as a temporary measure, just so that they have some direction as to where the fuck they're supposed to go. Link them to a Google Doc. Put a fucking link in the message. Nice. Why can't I fucking stagger him, dude? 3 notes per class. Like the starting note leads you to 3 or 4 spells, and one location has the next note, encourages you to find all of them that way. Okay, so maybe it encourages that. Like, think about it this way, right? Let's say that I give 3, like the first note. The first note tells you where to find your first 2 and your armor. So if I put the next note at one of those locations, what if they go to that one first, right? They could literally just, I mean, I know they could, they'll still have the information, all the information that way, but it doesn't like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Like I say, it doesn't really matter for alpha. The other thing is that there's 27 classes with 27 starting locations. So if I make 3 notes per, that's a lot of fucking notes, bro. I mean, I don't really mind doing that, but that's a lot. Have ChatGPT write all the notes. Have you ever, I mean, dude, I use ChatGPT. I do. I've been using it. I enjoy it. It's nice. It's good for like brainstorming, but when it comes to actually like putting content in the game, ChatGPT is not good enough. Besides, like when it comes to like notes of like detailed information, I have to type out all the detailed information first to tell ChatGPT what the fuck it is first. And in that case, I might as well just write the shit myself. Well, I'm not playing base game. I'm playing a mod that I built, me and my team. And I have beaten the game hundreds of times. I have beaten the game without getting hit once, no hit the game, and we're building a comprehensive overhaul of the game, and that's what we're doing. We're testing the overhaul stuff that I'm working on. Solves the problem of no sound insertion. True, but in order to set up all those NPCs, in order to set up each one, I would need to do a map edit, copy the entity, set up an action button in the map, and then also set up a talk script so as to generate the dialogue of the guy in ESD script for each one. And if I was going to do it for each item that you can get for each class, then we're talking about anywhere from 5 to, well, anywhere from like 2 to 7 items per class, averaging around 5. So that's 5 times 27 instances to commit to do that action. And if I'm doing that, if I'm doing that, then I don't feel like I should bother doing that until I can actually insert voice lines if I'm having to write talk script and shit anyway. So once again, that would delay the mod. See, this is really frustrating. There are some mods these days that try to hide the mod behind paywalls, but that's extremely bad and shouldn't happen. This one is not hidden behind a paywall. Why does this axe do so much damage? Well, it's +9. So the one thing I don't really like, the one thing that kind of bothers me about that particular idea, Deadman, aside from the fact that it's kind of hard to execute, is that I don't want to create more errands for the player, right? Like a big part of the building this mod was to not like to have the player not have to go back and forth to the same spot over and over because it feels like chores, right? And so, like, that's one reason why we got rid of prayer books and scrolls, is because then if you get a prayer book or scroll, you have to go back to the trainer, talk to them, give them the shit, buy the shit, and it just becomes chores. And so, like, part of it is I want the playthroughs to have like a flow to it, like a progression that's constantly driving forward and trying not to make you like step back too much. Yeah, I think we'll just go with the simple, like the easiest thing for us just to get alpha out, which is just the note, you know? Just knowing that I am going to be building a shit ton of quests, you know? Any new icons? We have like 70 icons done that haven't been implemented yet. But yeah, I mean, there's still like several hundred more to do. A bard-like class? Well, I think it's actually possible because we have those, like, you know, those nomad musician animations that could be like retargeted to the player. But I don't know, like, a bard class would be like, I feel like once again, like, we would need like some sound insertion stuff to make it work properly, but even still, I'm not that interested in it. I've always kind of thought like the whole concept of a bard is a little dumb. I don't know if I have enough healing for this. We'll see. God, he's so fucking annoying trying to hit him. Oh, he jumped on top of me? Alright, we got him. Do we reduce his HP? Yes, we did. But he's also just been like completely redesigned, like in every way. Yeah, so what I think's happening is the reason why the weapon skill is dealing less is that the skill has two components, right? It has the axe coming down, and then it has the shockwave afterwards. And I think what was happening was he was only getting hit by the shockwave, which is why it was dealing less. You can only fight him one way. Well, we actually have removed the Serpent Hunter. You got to do it with your weapon or with spells, but it's totally doable that way. How annoying is you only fight him one way? Yeah, well, I mean, we definitely we don't like gimmicks. We don't like gimmick fights as a team. So, like, the whole idea of, like, especially a boss that's that important to make it so that he's a gimmick is just, to us, like, completely the opposite of what we would want to do with the game. So it was important to us to either, like, remove the gimmick and readjust the fight, or, you know, readjust the fight so it can be done, you know, any method, including the gimmick. Like, we might end up adding the Serpent Hunter back in at some point, but, like, for now, we kind of need the, like, the moveset slots. Effort to get it, not hand it to you in the arena. Yeah, that's true. You know, like, I think one of the least commonly completed bosses is actually the Abductor Virgin combo or duo in the bottom of Volcano. So, like, putting it there is an interesting idea, potentially. What have I done? I've gotten rid of a repeat boss and added an original boss. I do like the boss though. Well, that's why there's a actual Godfrey for later. You can enjoy him there. So here's the thing, right? Like, because that area is so important for the Frenzy quest, I don't know if I'll actually put a Frenzy boss there. Like, because I don't know, like I might, but the thing is, if I do, I need the boss to not be too strong against fire, because I assume that all the Frenzy quests are going to need to go down there. So in that case, putting a boss that's strong against fire feels really terrible. You know, like, it just, I don't know. It's like, I don't necessarily want to punish people for doing their fucking quests, you know? Yeah, a Golden Order boss would actually would make a lot of sense, because they're like trying to prevent people from getting down there, right? What's the lore on Sewer Moog? Okay, so the idea that is inferred is that Morgott and Moog both together essentially are trying to prevent people from getting down to the Frenzied Flame, because there's like a barrier that is there that Morgott put. And what I think originally was that the Sewer Moog was meant to have the texture of a phantom, like Goldfree, but I think they decided not to do it because it was too hard to see what he was doing or something if he has that texture. So I think they decided not to keep that texture on him. But I do believe that was the intention originally, because he's meant to be like an illusion that you're fighting, that's just like an automated guard system to prevent people from getting down to the Frenzy Flame. But like, honestly, it's kind of weak. Like, it's, to me, it feels like the idea is like just really contrived, in the sense that they're just like, well, we made this Moog model, why don't we have like a lesser version of him? Like, the whole Goldfree thing and the whole Sewer Moog thing just feel to me like, we ran out of time to make the game, so we'll just have to put something there. Let's just use something we already have made. Like, it doesn't feel like it's real solid in terms of like lore, story drive, things like that. It just feels like, we have to put something there. Mini bosses in Catacombs. Yeah, so like, from what I can tell based on the way the game is sort of configured, is that like, first thing they did was they built the worlds, right? I mean, it makes sense, right? You build the space in which your game is going to occupy before you fill up that space. And what I think is that they got to a certain point and they're like, oh, we have to release, but we just haven't filled up everything. So it was like a mad scramble at the end to try to fill up the space. And I think that it's like, it wasn't like a small amount of stuff. I think it was like a huge amount of stuff they had to fill up, and they just basically ran out of time. Because what I noticed with the game is that there are sections that feel just really empty. You know, Mountaintops comes to mind, certain sections of Altus. Like, there's a lot of the game that just does not feel full to the sort of like standard that previous games have been. And I think it's because the world is so big, and then their budget and time limit just kind of caught up with them, right? And like, trying to make enough unique bosses to fill up all that space is just crazy. Like, it's just really like, how the fuck do you do that? You know, they would have needed like another year, you know. Well, yeah, Limgrave is great. And there's like certain areas that are really, really good, but then there's some that are just like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on here? Like, it just feels so not finished. And then like every repeat boss just feels like, what? Maybe DLC will help. Yeah, maybe. Although if their track record with DLCs is any indicator, they won't change base game much. You know, base game's still going to be base game, and that DLC will be like its own thing. Had the best DLC. In what respect did DS2 have the best DLC? Just out of curiosity. Was it the invisible cat boss, or was it Horsefuck Valley, or all the things that people hate the most about DS2? Was it those things? What? Holy fuck. Wow. God damn, dude. Yeah, I don't even feel like fighting Plassy anymore. I'm gonna go to a different boss. I don't know how that swing that I did missed. Oh, wow. I got a baby jump there. That's what I get. Omen Killer feels like an enemy from DS2. I mean, he's just basically just Capra Demon. God damn it. It's too far to the right. Nice. Nice combo. Really? Okay. So much fun. Yeah, they are pretty fun, aren't they? Oh, you have to... I think you can strafe the whole thing if you go to the right for the triple. Yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Positioning was bad. Behind the helm? Well, the helm's like shaped like an Erd tree, right? But I think it's in keeping with the rest of the game in that it has to be a wildly stupid helmet in order for it to exist. Most of them, anyway. To rip off Godfrey's scalp and wear it. Went to the Royal Armory here in Leeds, and some of those old school armors look ridiculous. Like, that level, though, where, like, there's a fan of metal, like, I mean, Jesus. I mean, it's so big. It's bigger than a watermelon. I mean, I understand, like, ridiculous-looking armor and everything, but that's just, like, what the fuck? That thing would just fall off your head. Watermelon? Yeah, the fucking thing on top of Loretta's helmet. It's a gigantic piece of metal, bigger than a fucking watermelon. It's huge. The helmet piece is there to make sure Loretta keeps her posture in balance. Doesn't end up like the camber. Oh, okay, yeah. Deepest lore. Well, I mean, if you look at Miquella's lore, right, the only thing that blocks the interference from outer gods is unalloyed gold, right? Not silver. Like, not really. Yeah, so the Moog tier makes you immune to all statuses now. I mean, we don't have like a date that we say for release. It's just going to be ready when, you know, when it's ready. We have a list of things we're trying to get through, and there's not too much left on the list before alpha release. Of course, alpha is just alpha, right? Like, we know when we release alpha that there's like tons of things we still want to do. Some things little, you know, little cleanup stuff, and some things like huge, ambitious things. Don't think this will be a fight to use the weapon art, really. Okay, one-handeds are okay. I don't know how to deal with this at all, the little waterfowl. I just don't know the timing of the parry. No! Okay, well now I'm actually dead. Yeah. I feel like, I don't know, man. Like, a lot of people tell me, like, I've heard that she's not supposed to do the phantom move if you're at melee range, but my experience has been that's just not how it works. Like, sometimes she just fucking does it. In fact, she does it pretty consistently at melee range, so I don't know how people are actually, like, avoiding her doing it. Don't know what to do! I have no fucking idea how to deal with that. There's some things about Millennia I'm gonna have to lab. Doing this playthrough, I found some more problems. The R2s that got assigned after our conversation are, or the two-hand R2s are the same as like Warcry R2s. So they're this slow. Making them slower than Titanic Cleave, making them completely fucking useless. And then there's like some other really weird things. Like the one-hand charged R2 is, I think, a normal axe. It's really, really fast, like way too fast for a great axe. And then the L1 when riding your horse while moving is not assigned at all. You do a fist attack. So like, for example, like if I do a one-handed charged R2, it's that quick. Like, is this how Great Axe one-hand R1s are supposed to be? Because this feels way too fast. And then your charged R2 is this fucking useless garbage. Simply making Titanic Cleave better because it's actually faster. Or about the same speed. Gonna be super hard to get Ash of War off of this weapon. Well, it comes with poise, like automatic poise. So you can see when I do it, like poise, like a built-in endurance effect. How much can that poise take? Well, it's endure, so however much endure can take, which I think is basically everything except like pancake. It's probably like a couple of attacks that it can't deal with. Well, we can't make more great runes. The amount of slots is hard-coded, so the number is always going to be what it is unless they expand it with the DLC. But we have changed what the great rune effects are. We haven't made them stronger. What we've done is we've basically made most of them, like, they're all the same power level, and they give you, like, a slight benefit sort of to each build. The reason why is that I don't want great runes to mean that much. I want them to be helpful, but I don't want them to, like, be, like, build-defining, because otherwise it forces you to go a certain route, basically, where like if there's one great rune that really benefits you a lot, then it kind of forces you to go that way in order to be optimal, and it takes away creativity of progression. So they're all helpful, it's just like, and there are some that are better for certain builds than others, but there's none that's just like, without this then you know you're not good enough, basically. A direct hit, it does a lot. Though I think because of how slow it is, I might buff it a little more, make it do a little more damage. On the direct hits. On the indirect hits, I'll probably keep it the same. Nice. How does that whip? This is a new axe called the Axe of Rust.
Are you to commit? Very let my hand.
Why is it called Axe of Rust? Well, it's actually a weapon that came from the last mod. In the last mod, it was a Patreon weapon. So, like, back then, we would, you know, we would make items for patrons. We're not doing that in this game, but we liked the axe so much that decided to bring it back. Fuck. Jesus. Oh, isn't Scarda covered in horns and shit? Because he's not an omen. Weapon art too slow, don't use. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of fights. Like, if I'm going melee, then I just think the easiest is to use parries, right? I mean, if I was tankier, like if I had better armor and more vigor and stuff, then I could still use it there for sure. Yeah, so for alpha release, we're going to have about 25 new weapons. That's just for alpha, though. We'll have a lot more later.
Tarnished.
That's the one move where you just absolutely die if you're on torrent. Like, if he does that combination of, like, the needles into the blade, you're just fucked. Like, there's just nothing you can do. No quick kill. Not with the R2s currently configured the way that they are, which is basically terrible. The R2s are so fucking bad on this thing for now. We're still, like I said, we're still fixing it up. Yeah, I guess they are great axe R2s. Yeah, so it's really just the two-handed charged R2s is the problem. This is just so slow. And I do think the Titanic Cleave needs a buff. Kind of undertuned it a bit, which is fine. We just have to fix it. Okay, next weapon. Let's see.